BeHeard.live.
BeHeard.live. BeHeard.live. BeHeard.live.
The one thing that I got going for me is the truth.
Yeah.
And if you're telling the truth, you got a problem, dude. There's nothing like the truth.
Yeah.
And so, my whole thing with all of this is getting to the bottom of the truth. As I said, I don't know you. I don't know him. I don't know any of the people involved in this. My intention here is to get to the bottom of it, to find out what the truth is, to have other people listen to the truth. That's it. Is just where are we going with the truth? So tell me your story. How did this all begin?
Okay, I put an ad in the Crab Cracker. I put an ad in Craigslist. And it was no smoking, no drugs of any kind. I think about animals, but I have animals. And one renter had a dog and he was supposed to be perfect and he bit a neighbor. Not good.
Yeah.
So this guy came and he presented himself well. He had 3 children with him and he drove a SUV and he wanted the apartment right now. And I said, well, I'm sorry. I put the ad in, but the apartment is not ready yet. I have tiling to do. I want to cover under the deck and I can do that. I'm in carpentry, I can do that. Really? So he left and the oldest girl talked a lot for him. Anyway, so they left and he called me a couple times telling me how bad he needed the apartment, that they were being kicked out. He said he'd do anything to help me finish it up. And I said, well, I don't have a washer and dryer upstairs, so we'd have to share the washer and dryer. It's COVID, I can't get anybody out here. No problem, no problem. So we set my days. So he came and moved in with a question mark. He had nothing with him, the clothes on his back. And the little girl had a paper sack, a paper grocery sack. And they had nothing, no covers, no anything. I'm talking zero. She had some things. So on the second day, I invited him to come and eat because they had no cooking utensils, no pots, no pans.
Was the apartment furnished?
No, the apartment was not furnished. And when I asked him about beds, he said, well, he'd go get his stuff, but the kids could just sleep on the concrete floor. Well, it's concrete under laminate, and it would be cold. So I have stuff in my garage because I moved from a very large house to this little house. And so on the second night when he came home and came up to dinner, he told... that's the 11-year-old at that time, that she stunk right here in front of me at the table. And I felt horrible for her. But she said, well, you told me we were going camping and to pack like we were going camping. I have nothing. And they didn't. Well, they moved in on a Friday, I believe. And on Saturday morning, she comes running up here. She was hungry. They have no food. He stopped and got heavy cream and instant coffee, I guess, for himself, but he got nothing for... And I had gotten some eggnog. Oh, that girl loved eggnog. She drank 2 gallons of eggnog in 2 days. Anyway, so I invited him up to eat. And I was really taken back that he would be so rude at the dinner table to her. So the following week, she and I went shopping. And we went to TJ Maxx and we got things that I didn't offer them to borrow until he went and got his stuff. And those things were sheets and beds and towels and rubber mats, because she wet the bed. And so I had not only rubber mats, but I had mattress pad protectors. And then when she and I went shopping, we bought soaps and shampoos and conditioners, hairbrushes, toothbrushes, not just for Olivia, but for him as well. I bought shaving supplies. I bought, I said soap, I said toothpaste, deodorant for him. Anyway, and I asked her at that time if she used pads at night, because she had a problem with wetting the bed, and she said no, her dad wouldn't buy them for her. So, okay, I didn't buy them because I didn't want to ruffle feathers. So as the days went on, I asked questions, and she told me a lot. She said they never lived in Milton, where he said they lived. They lived in the car. I said, oh. So that night at dinner, I asked him about supplies. When was he going to go and get his supplies? He said, well, he and the children just dumped their food on the table and used their fingers like the natives. But he didn't have a table. He had the bar that I made down there, and I gave him stools, and I gave him, I only had one mattress set, I believe, at that time, but I had frames. So I looked on Craigslist and got mattresses and box springs and girly bedspreads, and I asked him for a week to go get them. They were just up by Astalati Bay, which was pretty close, and they were Pottery Barn, which is a great brand. So he wouldn't go get them. He said, nope, the kids can just sleep on the floor. Well, I didn't agree with that. And they didn't have any blankets. And so hooked my little trailer up, and we went and got two bed sets, two sets of mattresses and box springs, bedspreads and pillows, and nightstands. And so we came home, and I figured if he wouldn't go get him, he wasn't going to help us unload him. And it was raining. And I put a blue tarp over him to get us home. But I had an electrician and a plumber here, so they helped us get the stuff in the house. Then Olivia and I came up and got stuff in my garage. There was two dressers. I had sheets and blankets, brand new. Towels. So we made it nice, and he did have kind of some throw blankets for himself, and I did take him off, and we made the bed. And to this day, he goes on and on about me making his bed, and I had no right. Well, I was doing it for Olivia. We were making the house nice for her. And so the girls each had a bed, and the boys each had a bed. So the boys didn't have the box springs and the mattresses like the girls, but they had two nice mattresses. And so we made it up, and Olivia was shocked when I didn't put the sheet on with the bright side up. I said, now why would I do that? And so I showed her, when you flashed it over, you got to see the pretty side instead of the dull side. And she was amazed at that. It was so funny, and I laughed and laughed. So that night, we got all our stuff that we went shopping for, and I got him pots and pans out of my garage. I got him colanders and spatulas and wooden spoons. We bought a silverware set. We bought a plate set. We bought hand towels for the kitchen and mitts to grab hot things. I gave him a French press. Anyways, I gave them blankets. Some of the blankets were brand new. They were the Sheepa ones from Macy's. And one day I went down to wash clothes, and he had put it down to use as a rug. And it was so muddy. So I did snag that up and washed it, and I brought it back up here. And they did the same thing another time with some blue blankets. So I said, if you're not going to take care of the things that I loaned you, I want them back. So she told her dad, and he was mad at me. And that night, Olivia had a breakdown. And she screamed, and she hollered, and she talked to me like she was a drunken sailor. So when he came home, he wanted to know if they were okay or if they had to move because of her outburst. He told me they had moved 8 times because people couldn't handle her outbursts. And I said, no 11-year-old's going to get the best of me. I said, she'll have to work with me. You know, if she's going to be up here, we're on 2 weeks now, and she hadn't been put in school. And when I gathered things for her, things that may sound personable, I asked her, do you need pajamas? She didn't have any pajamas. Does your dad need pajamas? He sleeps naked. Okay. Do you think he'd like some pajamas? No, he sleeps naked. So, she was so alone, and he would leave at 5 in the morning and not come back until 6, 7. So when we went shopping, she loved my kitties. So we went to Noah's, and I bought her 2 kitties and some toys. And I figured if he didn't want her to have them, that was fine, that I would take them. And she could come up here and love them. So I got him kitty litter, kitty box, kitty toys, kitty food, kitty biscuits. And when he came home, I told him what I did, and we went downstairs. And Olivia sat Indian style. I don't think I'm supposed to say that. But anyway, she sat in the corner, and he was watching her. And I said, you know, she's alone so much that I thought this would be good for her. And as I said that, the kittens ran over to her lap and snuggled in. And he saw how delighted she was, because she was mama now to them. And so it gave her something. And so he said she could have them. And it wasn't a problem if he said no. I would have just brought him up here with our entourage. And so that's one of his complaints now, is I didn't ask him first. But it was kind of a spur of the moment thing, and we went by Noah's, so I thought how nice it would be for her to have something to love and care for. Well, finally, after 2 weeks, he asked me to take him to Marysville so he could rent a U-Haul. He got the smallest little U-Haul they could get, and I brought her home. She did not want to go with him, and he went and got supplies wherever they were. And when he came back, there were a lot of garbage bags. There was a broken desk and a broken bookshelf. I didn't see anything other than that. There was this 1/2 by 12-inch 3 boards, and he had like a house fan. He called that his dehydrator. So over the time, the kittens were growing, but they wouldn't change the litter box. So I asked him, because it was in the laundry room, I said, could you please get the kids to dump the litter box in the garbage? Well, so when the little boy came and the little girl came, he would make them change the litter box, and they would just throw it out in the driveway. Well, dogs like that. It's called almond roca. So I knocked on the door, because we had left for a walk. I walk the dogs every day, and came home, and here's almond roca all over. So I asked him to use the garbage can and not do that again. So that didn't go so well. So then one of the things, if you remember, when he moved in is he was going to help. So when he moved in on a Friday, he didn't give me any money. He gave me $1,500 on Saturday. But the ad read first, last, and damage. So I just let it slide. I thought maybe he thought his work was going to be payment. Well, I had bought all these metal pieces to the tune of $1,000, and I wasn't sure how to cut them. So he said the saw had to be backwards. Well, I said, let's cut one at a time. No, that wasn't good enough. He put 10 down, and he sawed right under here, so the sparks were going onto the window, which is nylon netting. So I asked him to stop. Wrong thing to do. He was fuming now. I said, you're going to melt the screen. And you're cutting so many at once that you're going crooked. He was going at a 45 instead of straight across because he had so many. But he knew what he was doing. But all he said was, I didn't have the proper tools. So he said, I've only been here a few weeks. Why am I doing this now? I said, because we had agreed. Excuse me. So, okay, we stopped. I cut them one at a time, and I hired some men to come and do it.
Do you have receipts for that?
Yeah, it was his biz.
Oh, yeah, I know them.
Yeah, his biz came, and him and another guy put it up for me. So,
Did they meet the renter when they were here?
I don't think so. I
Okay.
think they were here during the day.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then there was tiling that had to be done. And for some reason, he was blowing the breaker. And he kept blowing the breaker. So I called Riley's electrical, who was my electrician. And he said he's overloading it. Well, then there's a little hot water tank down there under the sink, just for his sink. And that kept blowing. And so Riley came and the plumber came. I always forget their name.
Is he handicapped at all?
Who?
The gentleman that rented?
No. Not at all. Anyway, so they were here when I brought the beds and helped get him in. Rick is the name of the owner, and he has since retired because his wife got COVID and died. So his son is now running the business. Anyways, so Riley came and fixed things, and we didn't have to get a new hot water tank. It was just some glitch or something. But so then he came with his U-Haul, and he hardly had anything, like I said. So I started trying to find more things that he could borrow because he obviously didn't have anything. And then he was angry with me because...
Like what kind of things did you let him borrow?
Oh, he had pots, pans, colander, flippers. He wanted more knives. He wanted cutting boards. So I had those. That's about it, you know. But
Just
anyway,
cooking stuff?
cooking stuff, bedding, all the bedding, and the pillows were mine.
Mm-hmm.
And then my dressers we had put down, so each of them would have a dresser. The closet in that bedroom is real small, and I put shelves in it. So you really couldn't hang clothes in it. So it was pretty tight in the room back here that he used. So I guess he put a lock on the bedroom door because at one point when Riley was here, he had to take the doorknob off because the wiring went through his room. And I had told Josh that the plumbers were going to come, and I had given him 24-hour notice because it was dangerous that the breakers kept flicking. And he was fine with that. Now he's not. And so then came December, the winter months started coming. Anyway, she had no coat. So she had a sweatshirt, and her shoes were holey. And so I washed some of my tennis shoes and gave them to her to see if she could fit them. And then I bought her a coat at Costco. And she wears that coat. Every time I've seen her on any video, she has the blue coat with the fur around it. I bought her that. She didn't even have a coat. While they were here the first 3 days, she just wore sweats that were battle fatigued, you know, the green and black. And they were so filthy. And his clothes were so filthy because he only had the one set. And so, I don't know, it just seemed so crazy to me. So in December, in November, December. In December, around the 22nd, I think Olivia went to her grandparents, and that's where her mother lives, for Thanksgiving. But I'm not sure about that, but I know he didn't cook anything. So around the 22nd of December, and we had been texting, and it was getting pretty heated because I had called the school about my fears of her being molested, because she gets a little nervous, and when she gets nervous, she starts doing that when she's lying. And she said she had been sleeping with her dad. And I said, why? You have beds to sleep in. Well, she had wet every bed but his. And now the kids, when they came, had to sleep on a urine mattress because I don't know where the mattress protectors went. They went with them when they left. But, so I told him, you keep keeping her out of school. You're isolating her. And he told me on a text, their sleeping arrangements were none of my business. So I called the school again. And then I called Adult Protective Services to get CPS, Child Protective Services, and I called them. Then when I told him this, and so he wanted to move. And during the month of December, he went to Seattle at one time, and he always had a company truck. His SUV had broken at some point, and he left it at his work. But he called and said he was broke down. Well, I wasn't going to go in the snow and get him. It was a work truck. I am assuming a work truck with a box on it that people can open up to get tools. The company's going to get a tow truck. They're not going to leave it broke down in Seattle. And so he had things being delivered, and I would send him back because I hadn't seen him. He said he was going to try a new apartment out that they were going to move. And this was on a Wednesday, the 22nd of December. And Olivia was so excited, she wanted to go to school before the holidays. And he was going to let her buy some Christmas presents for friends. He kept her out of school. He kept her out of school. She went to work with him like usual. And he let her drive the big equipment. Whether his work knew that or not, I don't know. But so he left on the 22nd, and he came back with like a old Chevy truck with plywood, and he moved stuff out. I did not look. He just moved stuff out. And so when he left the kitchen fan on. Now the kitchen fan is just a little fan in the apartment, above an apartment size range. And it ran, and pretty soon it started making noise. And I asked him if he had totally moved out. And it was a no, but he never came back and never came back. Well, by the time I went down on January 8th, the fan was done. So we had to put a new fan in. So he had branches all over the floor where he picked the leaves. I don't know if it was Tourette's or what, but he had these big branches and he had filth everywhere. And there was nothing down there that I could see that was of any value. Anything that was of any value, what I did first is I cleaned off the counter, I cleaned the sink. He had rice with bugs in it, and I filled that bucket up with water because I didn't want bugs down there. I don't know what they were. But so I started cleaning out the cupboards, and the countertop was clean now. So I put things like the crock pot, the coffee pot, the French press, any food that had not been opened that was not perishable, all went on the counter. Even my stuff, because what I was doing is putting it up there so I could wash the cupboards and the drawers and underneath the sink. And I pulled the fridge out. There was very little in the fridge. Some cheese, a thing of ice cream in the freezer that was half. Not much. And so I unplugged it and started sweeping everything into the middle. And Jerry came over that morning to help me lift the heavy stuff. And when he came in, he was appalled. He said, "How does somebody live like this? The filth, the smell." And he had bags of kitty litter just sat. And the kitty litter box just sat. Filthy. And they had taken, not the mattresses, but they had taken the mattress protectors, the mattress rubber pads, the pillows, some of the blankets, some of the towels. That's about all I could see. She had clothes everywhere, but they were all like rang up and under the beds. And he brought a bed when he finally got his stuff, but it was so soaked with urine, I asked him not to bring it in the house because there was no way. It stunk so bad outside. What was it going to smell like inside? And why was he making her sleep on that? Anyway, it was a trundle type bed. And I asked him to take it to the dump, and he wouldn't. So finally I gave him a 30-day notice. Take the bed to the dump. 30-day notice. Then one day he brought a table. He found it on the side of the road. It was like this size, but it was full of black ink, like somebody just dumped black ink on it. And he left it out there on the patio again.
Out in the public area.
Yeah. And remember, there was no cover yet. So it was getting soaked with rain. So.
And it was in the front of your house.
Yes. And we do have an HOA.
Yeah. Exactly. That's what I was thinking.
So again, I asked him. So he brought it in the house. Great. Anyway, so he left and he didn't come back until the day after I went to the dump. And the police was so nasty to me.
And what did you take to the dump?
I just took a broken bookshelf and old books. I took that 3 pieces of 1/2 by 12. There was no fan anymore. I took all the clothes there was under his bed. I used the broom and did this. And out from the bed came a plaster of Paris cow head in pieces. And the horns were over here and the skull was cracked. And I took that to the dump. In his closet, Jerry was going through the closet. He had this hula hoop with a couple pieces of leather and a feather. He's claiming that was a war shield that was 400 years old. I didn't know we had hula hoops 400 years ago, But, and he had a little gun about this big that was just wood.
So he was saying that he had a 400-year-old Indian artifact that he hadn't turned over to the tribe.
Yes.
Okay.
And the cow head was supposed to be a buffalo head. It was no more a buffalo head than my head is. Not. Their whole noses are different, you know. Anyways, so Jerry said, "What is this?" And I turned around, and it was Woodstock. It was just a piece of wood that was a toy gun. There was no metal on this part. There was no clicker up here, and there was no clicker down here. And there was no holes where any of that would go. It was just wood. And there were boxes in there. And in the bedroom, there were also these tubs filled with garbage. So on they went onto the trailer. I did not go through anything. And the bags that he brought were still in her room, not packed. The dresser was not used. Clothes were just thrown all over. And they had put the kitty litter box in there when I complained about the laundry room smelling so bad. And I think the kittens got tired of the filthy kitten litter, so they were peeing all over. So that her bedroom stunk pretty bad. And she's claiming now that they had dressers. I don't ever remember seeing dressers. He's saying they had 2 big double cherry wood dressers. I never saw them. I never saw any guns. I saw a lot of dirt. I saw a lot of filth. And I swept everything up. Any monies was in piles. And I took the dirt around the piles out and left the money for him. So there was a big pile of money in his bedroom, just change, not any paper, and in the living room. I saved them. I took the tree branches out. I took all the, I think it was rosemary. I took all those, or lavender. I took them all out. So that's, I can show you one of the towels that I saved. One I was going to save, but it so smells like urine. But he did not help her wash clothes.
Did you see any personal documents, birth certificates, family photos, anything like that?
No, he didn't. The most important thing to him was a whiteboard. And I didn't take it down. He came and got it. And that's where he had what the kids were supposed to do and when they were supposed to do it. Leo, no. But he had no pictures. And like I said, I did not go through the bags. I did not go through the boxes. Nothing was very heavy. There was 1 6-pack of pints of brown liquid that looked like moonshine or whiskey. That went. I kept nothing. And anything of any value, I did not throw away what I thought was value. Like you'll see in the video, Olivia had a bag that was a Christmas present. That was down there when she came. The whiteboard, he swears up and down I threw away all his kitchen stuff, but it's all there on the counter in the video. Right on the very corner shows the crock pot, which is he's stating that I threw. I didn't.
And that was a crock pot that you lent him?
No, I did not get him the crock pot.
Okay, so he had his own crock pot.
He had a crock pot from the Goodwill.
Okay.
Things I gave him were cast iron pots and pans, French press, flippers, wooden spoons. I bought with Olivia. I let her do that. She picked out silverware. She picked out plates. I had mugs and I had glasses.
Now, did you give these items to him freely to take, or were they lent him to be kept in the apartment as you rented it out?
They were to be kept there. Okay. They were for him to borrow until he went and got his stuff.
To borrow or use, yeah. Like if you go to a hotel, you can't take the TV when you leave.
No.
Yeah.
Or the blankets or the towels.
Oh, the blankets and towels, exactly.
So, but they did.
Yeah.
And they either took them or ruined them.
Okay.
Let me show you. So these are the towels that they could use. And they took them. But I had some more. And this is one of the towels they didn't take. Because she did not know how to use bleach. And they obviously lit the kitties on it because it's shredded.
Yeah.
So he was not teaching her household. This is one, I did not give this one to
Yeah,
them.
you have a towel, throw it down on the floor, use it to dry off, or use it to clean up the cats, or use it as a whatever.
Whatever
And
you-
that, yeah, and that's some people do that. Some people doesn't make them a bad person, doesn't make a good person. It just makes them not a clean person. But so then what?
So he didn't come back, and he came back on the 9th at 4 in the morning. And I looked out there and saw him. I saw his little face, and he had come to get in, so I called 911. And this is what I've just learned, is that my lawyer said he was paid until the 22nd of the month. I had no right to go in before that. But he gave me a verbal notice that he was going to go try an apartment out in Stanwood. And I'm thinking, I didn't know you could try out apartments. You either rented them or you didn't. You don't go for 3 days and come back. And he didn't come back. And sure,
Had he paid rent for January?
he had. In November, I brought up the fact that he only paid 1 month's rent. And the ad said first, last, and damage. So he paid in November or early December. He paid until January 22nd.
Okay.
Well, that is including the deposit. So he gave me 1 month's rent, and it was first, last, and damage. So he was living on his damage deposit now.
Oh, so no. Okay, so let me understand this. So he had used up his first and his last month's rent.
Yes.
And he had a deposit, and that is kept for deposit. That is kept for the damages done to the apartment, other miscellaneous things like that.
Yes.
Anything like that. So then January wasn't paid for.
No.
So January, okay, so January wasn't paid for. So his end of contract with you, first and last month deposit, was concluded at the end of December.
Yes.
Okay, for all intents and purposes.
Yes.
No written contracts.
Yes.
You had a
Yes.
written contract that he was moving out.
No.
January 1st?
He just gave me the verbal notice on the 22nd.
Oh, okay. Okay, he said he's moving out at the end of January.
He just said they're going to try an apartment.
Yeah, they're going to try an apartment.
And they never came back. And so I had been talking to a lawyer in Everett named Rob Trickler. And I didn't give him any money, but he was kind of telling me what I had to do. And so after I went to the dump and all this hell broke loose, I called him and he said, "You should have let me handle it." Well, I said, "You were telling me what to do, so I just did it." I put the sign, the contract, everything on the windows like he said. Now, the policeman said the signs were on the left-hand side of the door. They were not. They were on the right-hand side. And in the picture, you'll see that of the video. And so the policeman really wasn't interested in anything I had to say at all. And the guy, Josh, said I had changed the locks. I had not. In fact, he opened the outer door and I opened the inner door when I went down there because he claimed it was locked. But I'll tell you,
Did you eventually have the locks changed?
I did.
Do you have a receipt for that?
I'm waiting for it.
You can get it.
It was Bigfoot Locksmith. He's so nice. Anyway, he said to me, "We can change the upstairs locks, but we're not going to do down there until he's done. Otherwise, you'll get in trouble." I said, "Okay, we'll do it later," and he did.
Oh,
So I have that proof.
awesome. And who was that did that?
Bigfoot.
Bigfoot.
Bigfoot has sold out to somebody, and so they were going to call him for me and see if he would find that for me. And I think he's cash.
And who's the? And it was the installer that said it wasn't a good idea to change the locks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He didn't want me to get in trouble.
Sure.
Yeah.
Why would he? Yeah.
So I said, okay,
Yeah.
it's no skin off my neck if we wait a month.
So then I mean, this is unsubstantiated, but theoretically, right now, there's a man out there that is a witness to changing the upstairs lock and telling her that she shouldn't change the downstairs lock, and that was agreed to, and she did not change the downstairs lock. So we'll find that out. I'll talk to him.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, so then the policeman went downstairs with him, told me to stay up here, that Josh didn't want to look at me. And so they went down, and he took photos, and that's when I was watching that with my lawyer a couple of weeks ago. I said, see, I didn't throw everything away, because the policeman accused me of throwing away her computer, her school computer. And I said, no, I didn't. And he said, well, you said you threw everything away. But I didn't throw everything away. I mean, there was stuff all over the counter. I didn't see guns. I didn't see a school computer. And why would he not take those important things when he came and moved out? Surely she needed her school computer if she was going to school.
Well, I'm sure an investigator could easily find out if she did have a school computer. There's a hardware ID that's associated with that computer, and there's also probably a Google document account that's associated with that computer. And they can look and they can find out when that computer was last logged in. They can find out what the hardware ID was, and they can see if that computer, if you stole the computer, then the date that you stole that computer or were accused of stealing that computer, that's when the communication between that hardware ID and her school's hardware should have stopped. And there shouldn't be any more communications there. But if there is communications, that would mean that she still had access to a computer. And also, if there's no communications prior to that, then there was never a computer in the first place. So these are questions that we'll get to the bottom of. I mean, it's just a path. It's a path to go down, and we have a question. Where's the computer? Okay. So now he's gone, and he's moved out. He's accused you of taking his stuff, and then some time goes by.
2 years almost. It was December of 21. And October of 21, October 22nd of 21, through he left December 22nd. That was still 21. And then I went to the dump in 22. Now he's claiming he has videos, and I deleted mine like 2 weeks before I got notification. So, but they're not bringing their videos we subpoenaed them from the courts that they provide them. So now they're saying they're going to subpoena my phone.
Okay.
And I said, fine.
Absolutely.
And so,
I mean, you gave me your computer and had me do a data check for deleted items on there so I could see if there was anything. I didn't find anything because the original pictures were taken on your phone, but we've also checked your Google account, and we're looking into that, and we're going to do some investigations, see if we can find these missing photos and stuff. So, yeah. And
they think if they take it, they can go to forensic and get into the hard drive.
Awesome.
So if they do that, that's great. But if they don't, then I have to, because it's going to save my you-know-what. Yeah. Well, that's what we're going to do. We're going to look at the phone. We're going to do it, and I'll do the limited amount of stuff I can. If I can't find anything, then we can send it off to a data specialist. Yeah. So he has lied profusely. He said on the very first day on the video that I reached out and grabbed Olivia's like this. I would never do that. I didn't even know her. We were having actually fun together, and I did not do that. He's lying, and he just keeps lying, and he's digging a hole. Well, and that's it. If he is lying, it will be. So